Energy. Flightboss, bitch. And you know, I take baths in the dark and all that because that's another video. Right now, I want to tell y'all motherfuckers about energy. You know, coming from the mind of an Antares moon, carrying certain energies, you know. I come down here on Earth and I look around and I don't think humans understand how powerful they really are. So I'm gonna put you onto some game. Flights. Check this out. No. Energy 101. One thing humans have to understand is you do everything every day. You use every tool every day. It just depends on the person and their charts and how much they're debilitated or how much they're gifted, and it's up to the person if they want to reject the knowledge that they receive from the universe or not. Now, the reason why I say that is because you can have some 3D ass niggas stumble across some research about the chakras or the kundalini, and they would straight off reject that shit depending on their charts and what's going on internally with them. Straight up reject that shit without realizing in that moment of time they're using a chakra. And I'm going to take it a step further to say that they're actually blocking off certain chakras because they're entertaining a certain chakra that they feel most comfortable with. Now, depending on your chart, can tell you which chakra you always rely on. That's another video. Now, energy. Energy comes from a place of the originator, which means it carries an influence that it can't be created nor destroyed. So that's the great myth about energy. See, where I'm from, these are actual beings. That's another video. But as far as getting the collective consciousness down the bottom of 3D and scrape y'all up so y'all can rise through the actual 4D where we actually are right now in the age of Aquarius, I'm going to take y'all a little step further and baby feed y'all to little keynotes of what y'all can do. Now, energy get reciprocated. Energy has manifestation powers. Energy has a lot of unique abilities because of the place that it originated from. Now, when I say originated, you might get a few people, analytical ass people, to be like, well nigga, you just said energy can't be destroyed, so how did it get created? That's another video. I just want y'all to stay with me right now while I baby feed the 3D collective consciousness and people who really want to learn, you know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, energy is something we always use. You know what I'm saying? Energy is something we always use. Now, depending on if you're a type of person who like to reject this kind of knowledge, you're going to be putting your energy into a lot of wrong places. Now, there's a gift and a curse. There's a good and bad. There's a right and wrong and everything. Depending on your chart, you might utilize your energies in a good way. Subconsciously not knowing, if you're not conscious, if you're not into this realm, but where we're living at now. You might already off the bat is trained to do things in a good vibration of nature. Now, you got some of these people that are neglected science also. You know what I'm saying? So, that's enough for trying to scrape the little baby feet and the 3D people up out of it real quick. So let's really get into this shit the way I want to get into it. Energy. Now, like I said, it can't be created or destroyed. It can only be utilized. So that right there should let you know you should be looking at energy as a tool. And not as something that people just looking at you like you talking crazy or something like that. Because really you could be introverted and use your energy. Some people who are introverted use energy a lot better than people who are extroverted. But extroverted people utilize the energy a lot better than introverted people. Here's an example. Say like you both like sports, an introverted and an extroverted. Now the extroverted person might be highly expressive on what team they actually like. The introverted person might not want to they might say who their favorite team are, but they don't want it to get to a point that it comes to a disagreement to the point you guys have to argue which team is better. Now, extroverted is willing and open for these arguments and don't see nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with a friendly competition, a friendly argument, right? See, but look, this gives introverted power because they don't do it. It leads the extroverted on to think that what's really going on with this person. Is this person on the same vibrational level as me or not? So the extroverted person develops different programs in its brain that goes off of accusations to the point that they're assuming they know what's going on. So then they do action-based type things again based on that, and to the point that they're playing on their own playing field. If you can stay with me, I'm talking from another dimension now. Now, this would give the introverted person, because the introverted person could have been on the same vibration as the extroverted person. They just didn't express it. And depending on the characteristics of the extroverted person, by going off and assuming and basing their actions off assuming and just getting more and more aggressive, it allows the introverted person to have the ball in their court, which is the yin energy overall. But see, after a while, an introverted person, if they don't become extroverted in certain areas in their life, they become very lonely. And it's just in the vice versa. As the extroverted don't become introverted sometime in life, they can become not having the time and the energy to sit down and really see what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? So there's not really a positive and negative to either. Like if you extroverted, you're worse, and if you're introverted, you're better. Or if you're introverted, you're worse, and if you're extroverted, you're better. All these equates and need each other in order for this to even have life. So energy, by that statement being said, energy is a life force, but it is not life. It is not your life, but it's a life force. It's a life entity, and energy is a God that's needed here. You know what I'm saying? In order for things to keep running and the mechanics that it's going. So, let's get down to 3D now. When you want to mix energy and let it get reciprocated to things on Earth, humans don't understand how powerful they are, because it start with a thought. You might think the things you're thinking is not real, but they're very real. And you're manifesting at any moment and second. You know what I'm saying? Example, you might just be giving yourself a lot of thoughts in your head, but since you never expressed them thoughts, you think them thoughts wasn't emitted into the universe. You got to be careful to what you're thinking nowadays. You got to be careful with shit like what you're even thinking about nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Because now that we know what's the principle of energy now, as I just explained it, now we should know how to utilize it now. Right. So look, that's just like a negative person. I'm on 3D terms. I'm not talking about negative. I'm talking about negative, how things you would think is negative. On a negative term basis, you got niggas who will come around, right? Suck the energy out of everybody, right? You know what I'm saying? And just, they carrying a negative energy, right? See, what they don't know is, what they're actually doing is manifesting themselves in more and more circumstances and situations to be in negative vibrations. Now, the universe and God is always going to give you what you want. You got to know what you want. And if a lot of people don't know how to know what they want, and this is when energy comes into play. This is why they say like certain archangels and certain, they say give praise to them and give praise to certain age before you reach God and stuff like that, which is very true because they carry certain principles of aspects of this energy being. You know what I'm saying? And this energy being will always give you what you want. But it doesn't deal with the pettiness of human nature. And this is mankind point right now. And this is what the universe is giving mankind as a lesson to learn that you're more than a human. This is why everybody is getting into astrology nowadays. This is why everybody getting into metaphysics. This is why everybody raising their consciousness nowadays. Because the universe did that in so many ways. And depending on the people who are teaching this knowledge are the people who was chosen, or not even chosen, they chose themselves that they will be the ones and the representations of this change on earth. Now, this is the thing I can't get involved with. It's such as, you can look at, you got astrologers, 100,000 views, million views and shit like this is something I can't get involved with. I can only talk from an aspect of an outside looking in. So this is why you need astrologers and stuff like that, because they're going to give you that pathway so you can get a little closer to people like me. Beings like me and other beings. So the point that I don't have to start my videos arranging them like I have to explain something first before I get into what I really want to talk about. You know, and that was a lot of my problems that I dealt with before I even started kicking these videos. I was dealing with that direct issue right there, that I shouldn't even waste my time with presenting this knowledge until I see the consciousness is raised enough to the point that they're ready for it. And it's a little bit there, but it's time. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm giving my energy to. Whatever you give your energy to, that's how I get reciprocated. And we built this solar system from a plexus point of view as an orb, as a 360-degree sphere. So I taught you that in previous videos. So equate that to this video. That's what energy do. Look at it like this. Whatever you think or say, right, it's emitted into the universe. Same way you can emit something into the water, you can emit something into the universe, which is this is a different form of an element. They say space is a vacuum. No, it's an element that humans didn't quite tap into yet, but we're getting there. We're going to get there. But as far as that, look at it like this. Whatever you say or think, it emits into the universe, right? Now, it's going to go through the same birth and death process that you went through. As everything, look, everything that's happening on earth does the same thing. From animals to plants to humans to everything. It all does the same trait. Now, just in different ways. Now, as far as the way the energy is getting precipitated, that's not a part of earth. It's a part of other planets and star systems and stuff like that. But when it get reciprocated through Earth, Earth has the power of manifestation. This is why Earth rules Taurus and co-ruled by Venus, not solely ruled by Venus. So when it get emitted, whatever you did, when it get emitted into the universe, depending on how large or how small was how much energy you put into it. So if you put a lot of energy into something, that's the bigger the sphere you just created is going to emit. The smaller you gave a thought, like you might just had a thought like, oh, I might want to go to the store today. But a split second after that, you started thinking of 100 million different things throughout that day. You ended up never going to the store. That's because that energy that you emitted from that was so small, whatever it picked up when it was time to come back to you, it took longer. It was a lot smaller and it was a lot slower pace. Now, the more energy you put into something is the bigger the orb going to be. So that's just like when they say Lil Wayne is in the studio every day. He emitted a huge orb. So it came, when it went through the cosmos and did a 360, when it came back to him, it came back in a huge way. You know what I'm saying? And the things he gave little thoughts to when he was in the studio was maybe he didn't answer the phone for one of his girls or something like that, and got right back to the song. That energy was slower and smaller, so when it went through a 360, when it came back to him, it came back at a later time. So he might got a lot of songs done because he put more energy and put in the songs, so that's the orb he created, a bigger orb, so he got a lot of songs done that night. But he might have not talked to his girl the day in the morning after that was done, because that was the small amount of energy he put into it. And girls, all women on the earth see these things. And women is 10 times more powerful than males if they consciously aware. Like if you get a female like me on this earth, she's way more superior than me as playing out certain things on earth. So, you know what I'm saying? That's just a little example of it. Now, what do the orb actually do when it began as 360? It started from a zero circumference as a degree. It didn't, when you first started, that's the 0 degree of it, right? Now, depending on how big it is the faster it's going to move through the degrees. That's because the bigger it is, look at it like from a sun and an earth aspect. The sun is closer to earth than a lot of other stars and a lot of other planets. So that's why it seemed like it moved across faster. And the moon's supposed to be actually closer than the sun to the earth than the moon. So it take the moon to go through the zodiac faster from an earth perspective than the sun actually do. The sun might take 30 days, the moon might take only 2 to 3 days. Because it's how it look. So it's the same, everything is doing the same thing. So when you equate and emit this into the universe, the bigger or the smaller it is, that's how it's going to come back to you. So this is what the orb, whether it's small or big, this is what the orb actually does anyway. From the 0 degree, right? Now, it's pushing from degrees. Depending on how large or big is how fast or slow it's going to go. Now, it goes through the same transitions. And if you know how to equate it like this, you could learn how to equate it the best way you can. But I'm just going to throw out an example, okay? When you emit something, look at it like it's going through the 12 houses, right? Okay, now the first house. What is the first house? The I am, the itself. So once it goes through the 0 degrees, when you first thought of it, that's like, what is this idea actually is? What is this actual idea? So, okay, the orb, boom. Now, whatever idea you're thinking about, whether you're trying to figure out a math problem, you're trying to figure out for school, whatever you put in your energy to, how much of it you put in is how big the orb going to be and how fast you go through it, and how small it's something you just throw aside real quick. That's how small it is. This is why when people get homework and when they go home, they start wanting to do everything else, they gave that a small energy. So when it came back around, these are people who did their homework last minute or had somebody help them at school in the morning before they had to turn it in real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't give a lot of energy to it, and then at that time, rush hour, they had to put a lot of energy to it. So a lot of other things had to take place with the universe at that time. But you get it, you with me? Okay, now, whatever you give your energy to, this is what it does. Okay, just look at it like it's going through the 12 houses. The I am. So what is this? You actually trying to figure out. Boom. You go through that 30 degrees of it. If the universe still see you keep throwing it, it's going to take you through the next step. And the universe always going to give you what you want. You just got to know what you want. Don't think about, don't surround yourself by bitch ass shit. That's what it all equates down to. The more you think hard on what you really trying to do, the more the universe going to give you what you want. If you waking up every day stressed the fuck out because you need something, the universe think that's what you want. It's not taking into considerations of the actual thing you want as that being good or bad, because that's only in your reality. What's good to you might be bad to somebody else. So the universe not looking at that. It's looking at, oh, this person always getting up talking about they need this. I'm going to give them what they want. Put you in more goddamn situations where you need that, to the point that you never actually get it until you live in the vibration of, okay, all right, look. But like, look, all right, say you living in that vibration. Right now, this is, okay, energy. When you emit the energy, you need to stay in that vibration. And this is how you stay. This is what it's called staying focused. Focus of the motion. You're staying in that motion, so you need to stay in that vibration. Everything holds a certain energy. Millionaires have a certain energy. Broke ass bum niggas who sleeping on the curve downtown carry a certain energy. You surround yourselves with them all day, you start feeling like that's good and acceptable, you become that. That's because you was living in that energy. Now it's a high octave and a low octave to that energy. Now as a rich people, you got the same thing going on. And it's a high octave of that, a low octave of that. You can work on the negative side or the positive side. Unless I remind you, it has nothing to do with good or bad now. But if you want to reciprocate it to, you do that on your own terms. We on higher plantations right now when we on my videos. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it goes through the whole 30 degrees and the universe see that this is what your mind is on, this is if you admitting something bad without knowing good, whatever, they all doing the same thing. So people doing this when they unaware. So I hope everybody who unaware watch these videos and take something from this so they can get aware and start living in the right vibrations. Now, whatever you admit it, the universe is going to take it through the 30 degrees of errors. Of what is this? What is this? And is this what you really want? You experience it. Is this what you really want? Now, if you took it through the whole 30 degrees, the orb is going to go through the second house. And it's going to start bringing practicality. It's going to start putting you in situations where you start seeing these things physically, but not manifested in your own terms. So say you want a car and you just, okay, you admitted this thought. So you started doing everything to get this car. You got up wanting to get a job, whatever like that. Okay, you going into this, you about to complete the 30 degrees of variance. Okay, the universe seeing this is what you really want. Right? Now, it's going to take you through the 30 degrees of the second house, which is Taurus, which is going to start bringing that in your environment, but you don't have it. So you might start seeing commercials of that, more commercials of that car. Somebody you know might got that car, end up getting that car. Somebody might drive past with that car. Boom. If you don't put a negative annotation to it and stay in that vibration like you're going to still get it, it's going to take you through them 30 degrees. Now this is if you're just looking at it from, I'm just giving y'all an example. Y'all can come up with your own systems how y'all look at it. But this is an Antares moon example of how energy, when it goes through the 360, and how we did it. Then you go to the other 30 degrees, which is the Gemini. Now you're starting to communicate it. You might be at work talking about you want this car now. You might be, you know what I'm saying? You might be in certain situations where you like, man, I like this car. Then you might put yourself in a situation somebody might let you drive the car or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Once you reach those 30 degrees, you get into the Cancers. To the fourth house, where now you connected a deep feeling about this car now. So it's gonna take you through that 30 degrees and manifest certain. So this is the emotional state, which is the Cancer house. So this is the universe is gonna test you to see, do you really want this car or not? It's gonna put you in situations where it might make you feel like you might never get this car. Don't live in that vibration because you're gonna bring yourself down. Please take this information I'm giving you so you can live in the right vibration. Just block that out and be like, no, I emotionally feel like I already have this car. Boom, this is the power that Cancers have that they don't know. Boom, and then once you go through the 30 degrees, you complete all the the first decade, the second decade lessons, the third decade lessons. Boom, then you get into the fifth house. Now, this is the Leo house. You're going to be creative. You're going to come up with creative ways on how to get this car. So by this time, you didn't save a lot of money. This is if you're living in the right vibration. I'm not talking about if you're living in a lower octave. If you're living in a higher octave, this is the only way I'm going to explain it to you people. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to already have saved a lot of money from getting a job, from thinking about what you want, from the first house, second house, actually putting you in a situation where you actually got a job and you see people with it, to the third house, you're actually communicating what you want to people, you're putting it into words, because everything wasn't existed with the words, was that created an orb of itself. To when you were in the 4th house, start having these feelings, the universe started testing you, do you want it or not? To the 5th house, now you should have been saved. That was the creative way you came up with it. You might end up having, this is the house of children, all that. You might have fucked the girl to the point that she ended up getting on some kind of government benefits, to the point you a little bit faster, you need a car now, you're a little bit faster to get that goal. That's just one example. You might have saved money from the job you had got from the 2nd house, all that. Now, you go into the 6th house, which that you came up with that creative thought of how you're going to get the car now. Now you're putting that into motion. You're doing that practical thing every day, your routine every day, to make sure you end up, you keep doing what you just did creatively to get that car, so you can get that abundance to get it. Now, you develop the love for that, which you go into the 7th house, it's going to go through them 30 degrees before it get back to you. And then the orb have picked up now. Now you're in a vibration where you might end up getting that car. This is why Libras get tangible things. They get it, and they ruled by Venus too. You know what I'm saying? They in love with it. You know what I'm saying? So you was in love with it so much you didn't end up getting it, right? Now, then you get into the 8th house. It's the second 30 degrees. You was this close to getting it in the 7th house, because you built a relation with it, to the point that something else popped up. You might have had to pay a bill. You fell off in a certain way that you had to not completely start over, but you had to take a step back. This is the 8th house. You got stung. This is the Scorpio house. Boom. Now, this is the test this is giving you, and see if you're strong enough to still stay in the vibration that you got that car, and there's nothing in your brain can tell you ain't gonna get that car. This is when you develop wisdom now, which you go into the 30 degrees of the 9th house, which is the Sagittarius house. Now you learn from the past experience, and now you in that house. Not you, but the orb itself, which you just emitted into the universe when it take that 360. Now it's in the 9th house, and it develop wisdom. Now the energy is going to make you play out where now you're smart enough to know to put up for a rainy day and still keep this aside so you can get the car. Now you go into the 10th house. Boom, you actually get the car. Which this is the Capricorn house. You could ride around and feel like a boss. It could be a hoopty it might have been a $1,200,000 car, but the process that you just took, you feel good that you was able to get it now. So now you can ride around in it. Now you put it into practical terms. Now is what you can do to build a foundation to keep up with this car. And that takes you into the 30 degrees of the 11th house. So this is another air sign, which is the Aquarius house, which you have to learn, read, and say something happened to your car. You have to read up on it, communicate with people, ask people what's wrong with your car, or learn yourself what's wrong with the car. So you can maybe tell somebody they got the same problem with their car, what's wrong with their car. And this is still a communicative house, an air sign house. So and it's a humanitarian because it's the water barrier. It's not a water sign, but it's pouring out water. So the intellectual thoughts that Aquarius have is they communicate their thoughts to help people emotionally, but they're not actually emotional. They might come across sometimes as shallow, depending on things that happen in their life because they're ruled by Uranus. But that's another video. But I'm talking about the energy in the houses that it's getting into before I hit that 360. Now, it's in the late stages, the last 60 degrees of the whole circumference. So, other solar system, other sphere it created as when you emitted it, because everything does the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So, this is what your actual soul did but another video. Okay, now it's in the 11th house, and now you're communicating and you're receiving energy also, and receiving knowledge of what's wrong with your car and how you keep up with it. Then the 12th house is how you feel about the whole situation. You might not actually, that's why they say it's ruler of the subconscious. You might not communicate these thoughts because these are not necessary thoughts you have to communicate with people. These are these subconscious thoughts that you have of the whole situation and the process you just went through to actually get this car. And how you feel about the whole situation, which this is the actual Cancer house. And the 12th house is actually how you feel about the situation, how you feel about it. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not the actual Cancer house, it's my 12th house. But as far as this house is equating it, I'm giving y'all an example. I slipped up. Oops. Okay, but look, the 12th house is actually the Pisces house. Is how you feel about the whole situation. And now you could absorb the whole situation and do that again if you want to. And depending on how strong of the Pisces energy you got, which is how much is that what you got emitted to the universe when it's in that 12th house, is how much strength you develop if you want to go through that process again, or how much knowledge you got of how you can go through that process faster, or how much is debilitated, how slower, because you might not feel like you got a little lazy, you might not feel like going through all that again. It's depending on your chart and or whatever like that, that's going to equate into that orb. But that's the last 30 degrees of it, and then it comes back to you, which is back to the first house, and then however you did it, that's how it come back to you. And this is just one video of energy. I can get on energy. This being have many aspects, and in certain doctrines and stuff, they equate this energy as being God. But that's a whole nother video. I'm telling y'all, man, y'all fucking with the mind of an Antares moon right now, nigga. I am Antares, nigga. I am Uriel on Earth. You know what I'm saying? Because let me just, before I ride out, let me give you a little bit on that. You have to claim what you own here, or you'll still be lost. So it's best to get into your nature to work at the higher octave of yourself, and you will always be successful. Reason why I wasn't so successful, because I wasn't aware of everything at first, but I always had it in me, and that's what even led me on the path to know where I'm at now. So you know what I'm saying? Uriel carried an essence which manifested into the fixed star Antares, and Antares is the fixed star which carries out influence, which sheds lights to it ends up being a certain degree. And if you land on a certain degree in any planet in your chart, you carry direct influence from that. And if it's your sun, moon, or your rising, you're actually carrying the vibration of that. And if you're a sun sign, what do sun represent? Action. Everything that represents action. So you're acting that out. If it's your rising sign, that represents your personality, your soul presence. So you're personalized in that. If it's your moon sign, this is who you are. This is the world you live in. So depending on your sun, you could be showing people something else, but they might not never know what's going on up in here, because that's the world you live in. Flightboss, bitch. Flightboss journey through the sky. Into the mind of an Antares moon, motherfucker. You know, for sure. Hoes and grams. Flights.